And we back. I'm still with my man Junaid, my comrade. And I got a couple more questions to ask you, man. Before we got cut off, we was talking about I asked you, it was a discussion about Michael Jordan and really black athletes, but Michael Jordan in particular, and Cat was going at it about whether he gives back or not, or should he give back or not. On those terms, man, with black athletes, what do you think about that?
I believe that definitely black athletes should be given back, and it shouldn't just be to their direct families. It should be a fund of some type that where you establishing something for the race itself. Like for me personally, I got some family members that's professional athletes, and we'll use the two that are NFL athletes, Chris Canty and Lawrence Timmons, where they're first cousins, and these cousins, as far as I know, have not done much in the way of financially or even establishing any type of I'm trying to think of the right words, any type of way to make the family succeed, being that they have succeeded in making financially themselves, being taken care of. And to me, the only way these athletes, because we do know that the NFL and other professional athletes, they have done surveys saying that after about 5 years, most of those professional athletes are broke. Right. So I use that in saying that if these professional athletes don't put some aside family-wise and think further than just cars and material goods, that most of them will never be the Jordans and the Magic Johnsons of this world. They will simply be one of us again. So to stop them from ever just being quote unquote nobody or a regular citizen, they should establish something monetarily that keeps their family, it starts out family going, and then it will stretch if all of them take part in this. If they all come together and do something monetarily for a race, but you start within your family and then you stretch that ideal to something bigger. I think that they do have a responsibility to do more than they've done.
Okay, because you'll hear some people will say, well, the race didn't get them where they at, and they don't owe nobody nothing. It's by choice. People will say that.
Yes, and I take that into the same. I give that argument the same argument I give to people when they say this generation of white people didn't enslave us.
But they benefiting from it. Right?
Exactly. I agree that they didn't enslave us, and I agree that we were never slaves, us personally.
Right.
But I also understand that ain't nobody ever apologized for what the past has done to us. Like no one is. They have never said they even enslaved us. They make it.
Okay, so what do you think about reparations?
Oh, I think that we deserve reparations. That if people agree that the Jews deserve some type of reparation, or the Indians deserve some type of reparation.
Japanese.
Yes, and Japanese or shells, the Russians. I mean, everyone that we done fought doesn't deserve something as Americans. Yes, and we've complied with giving them something. But nobody has lost more people than the African race. And we have got nothing, not even an apology.
Why do you think that is? Like, why do you think everybody got different, like?
Because we're less than human to them. We're not even a human. So to somehow suggest that they did something to us would make us human again, you know, in the eyes of the world, or make us be more than we are. That's just like they're never going to give us back Egypt. You know, they're going to constantly say Egypt isn't Africa, because to say Egypt is Africa, then you would have to say that how intelligent we are. You know, and that's not going to happen either.
Okay, so what do you say to damn, I forgot what I was going to say. He was talking about reparations, why we deserve it. So you mean all this with they still want to acknowledge their role in it and gave people they even give continually reparations to people who they ain't do nothing to. Somebody else did it to them.
Exactly.
But they want to acknowledge that with us. So even with a black president.
Oh no, that's the pseudo way of saying we giving you something, you know. But you can't give somebody something without acknowledging what you're giving them something for.
Okay.
You know, so by giving us a black president in the way of saying that we no longer see you as inferior is suggesting that you did see us as inferior, but you're not still coming to terms with saying it. And then at the same time, if you do say it, you're apologizing for what people done before you. You're not really saying like we're gonna make good on what happened to you.
Right.
And that's the problem. Like, but we don't even get free psychiatric help, you know, where, I mean, someone to talk to work out the things that every black person should be considered, how can you say it?
Affected. I think they call it
I know it's a mental trauma.
Yeah.
Like it's a depression. We all need to be treated for depression.
Post-traumatic slave syndrome.
Definitely that. You know, and the depression part is what, you know, gets me, is that we have no way. We're not being classified in the same way, because we have no way to go. We can't afford to be classified in that way to get the help that we need. And it is a help we need, you know.
Right.
And I say this, that the help we need is not in the shape of someone not of your color. You're gonna need that help from those people. We're gonna need that rehabilitation from our people, not someone else's to step in and say we're gonna help you. You know, give us the help we need by acknowledging what you've done, and give us the same things that you give to those that you have acknowledged you've done those things to.
Okay, so look, we have black psychologists, psychiatrists. We got all kinds of
that's taught by white psychiatrists.
Right.
That follow white psychiatrists.
I was going to ask you, because that's what I was going to mention, because I've spoke to a couple and they feel like black folks don't want that kind of help, or either they're just not interested because they don't think it's a problem.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with it in a way, but I say this in a way because when you have people that don't feel like you need to be treated also.
Right.
Yeah, you got these black psychiatrists and teachers and everything that's saying that we don't have a problem, or that we shouldn't be affected from what has happened to our ancestors.
Right.
Which is a lie. We're spiritual people that carry the past very strongly.
Hold on one second. Hello? What's happening? Oh, word. Y'all fuck that shit up too. What's good? I'm down the street right now. I'm doing interviews. For the I sent you. I texted you the first joint I did, a show on Aiken on the Mayusi channel for YouTube. Oh, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Yeah, that's what I'm doing right now. So when you gonna bring it to me? We're going. But just call me, man, cause I'm interviewing somebody right now. So call me when you're on your way. The next thing I want to talk to you about is I don't even want to say it's touchy. It's not touchy to us because we secure where we stand with things. But I gotta talk about religion, man. I gotta talk about religion. For example, the average person see you and they say, well, they stereotype you as a Muslim. Or they stereotype us as Muslim because we don't eat pork and we don't subscribe to the European thing in terms of Christianity, Judaism, or Islam on those terms. So what is your how would you respond?
Well, I would respond first by I am not Muslim, but it's an oxymoron, I guess, at times, because I walk around with the pseudonym Junaid, you know, and we know that that's an Islamic term, you know. So by saying that, you know, at one point I was a Muslim, you know, if that's the term you use. I'm no longer a religious person,
right?
Spiritual person.
Right on.
I believe from researching, studying very influential people who've done more research than I'd ever be able to do at this point, have convinced me that all these religions are intertwined and that they are intertwined to do one common goal, as in to separate, as in to keep you at odds with someone else in another religion.
Right.
So for me, religion will never solve a problem. It will only keep creating problems. I prescribe to not prescribe to religion.
Right. Right. But do you believe in a higher power?
Definitely. Okay. I believe there's creator. Definitely. And that's why I don't understand when people think that as spiritual, you have no belief system. You have a strong belief system.
Right.
Even though your belief is just as strong in not believing in a unilateral religion.
Right.
You know, because you also learn in each religion you are only sheep as a follower. And as you rise in the ranks of your religion, then you become a shepherd. So the rest of the people that follow you are sheep. So you're taking them out to slaughter. And to me, in what religion would that be suitable in?
Okay. Well, you know, I gotta ask you, man. I gotta ask you. You know, lately, some people from our community has been calling on the local religious institutions to get involved or assist them in doing something about the conditions that keep black people powerless around here. And of course, there's one in particular that responded and was willing to act on that, but for the most part, most the religious institutions around here are not even interested in empowering their own community. What you think about that?
I believe there's a reason why they're not interested in helping the communities empower themselves. And that goes back to the question of religion. Is because once you start to learn and empower yourself, you'll find less room for religion. You know, and that's scary to somebody that makes their living off of somebody's religion. You know, you're gonna lose your money source if you empower your people. You know, it's no more about they lose their love for God, to say so, for the love of money. Because what use are they if they give the power back? You know, I mean, I agree that the power should be given to the people, because nothing is going to change until the communities themselves get back to loving themselves.
Right on.
You know, and only if it takes a religious or a religion or anything to do with a uniformity to help these people get back to loving each other and learn to love themselves, then I agree with it. But I know in my heart that nothing religious is going to help them keep their community together. It's going to have to be a spiritualness that's going to connect them. It's going to have to be you know, when people say, wear my shoes, you know, walk a day in my shoes, that's what our people need to do. Take a day out and walk in your neighbor's shoes.
Right.
You know, your friend's shoes. Figure out how they make it throughout the day. Or better yet, let's not do a day, let's do a week. You know, and let's get to know each other all over again. Let's, for no reason at all, go knock on your neighbor's door and see what they need. See if they can, a little bit of help, you know. Watch their kids one day out of the week. Let them watch your kids one day out of the week. Without that connection again of spirituality, there will never be a change.
So you differentiate spirituality to religion, the two different things.
Yes, definitely. That, you know, the spirituality has nothing to do with religion. Nothing. You know, what it is you carry that spirituality all the time. You're religious one day out of the week most of the time. You know, for most people. And then if you're not, you become a radical to your religion, because you get yourself caught up in that one psyche so intensely that you don't have sight to see the full picture. Because if you've seen the full picture, then you'll see the connection of every religion, and that it's just something that's binding you, not something that's supposed to guide you actually.
Now, what about the masjid? What about the Muslim community? What do you say about the Islamic institutions in the black community and their contribution to the liberation of people of African descent, black people?
I mean, for me, there's not a religion that has liberated us. You know, I haven't seen any liberation of the people unless you decide in that religion that you're going to be a part of that religion. Then they do as much as they can do to liberate you to fit their religion.
Okay.
Not to liberate you as a human, you know, as a man, not mankind, as a man.
Yeah, like it's like you saying, like, you won't help me unless I'm interested in subscribing to your religion.
Yes, definitely. Because I guess what I'm thinking too is, if you're such a religious person, you have this high standard of religion, then it should be able to supersede all the other feelings you have. So if it's somebody out there to help, you don't help them just because. You know, you don't have a because. I'm gonna help you because of this. Like, for instance, I was incarcerated in Southwoods Penitentiary, and at the time I was running the Seneca. And what that is you know, as a Muslim, you have food, clothing, different material that every Muslim can come in and you will help them out. You will give them something. You will make sure that they're set on that path of being able to self-sufficiently take care of themselves. Me running this Sunnah, I didn't prescribe to you had to be a religion. You had to be in any religion. You came in with this melanin in your skin, and you needed my help. That's how I felt.
Right.
So I got in trouble basically for feeling that way. For, it was told to me from one of the brothers or a group of the brothers that I was to only give out things to brothers that were Muslim or were thinking or becoming Muslim. Right. At that point, I decided that wouldn't be the job for me. And I expressed that to these brothers. I let them know that as long as I'm running this part, I will do it as I see fit. If there's a problem with that, then this is not for me. And not only is this job not for me, but this religion is not for me.
Okay. Well, let me ask you, let me go to another condition. Let me talk about the gang culture now. Young people's Blood, Crip, that's the most popular ones over here on the East Coast. Yeah. A lot of people, society in general, condemns young people for their participation in that. Would you agree that, it's to the point now where they're being referred to as domestic terrorists. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? But a racist,
I hate to answer this question.
Police officer
I do.
Is just an officer of the law. You know what I mean?
I hate to answer this question. It's like, because for me, at this point, they have become the same problem for our community as the police officers. Oh. And for these young men,
I have to say I don't agree with that.
No,
but I'm hearing you.
And it's not to be really agreed upon, because I don't dislike that there is a front like that. I just like what they're doing with the front. That there is a constant violence amongst each other. There's a constant disrespect among each other, and that they are not loved by their community. They are not doing anything in the community that is getting them love for what they're doing. They have now become a problem in their own communities, where parents don't want their kids to go outside, where parents don't want to go outside because they don't know the actions that are going to take place because of these entities in our community now. Do I say that they should be done out with? I don't believe that. I think that they need restructuring. And until they're restructured, I think that they should go on the ground.
It's interesting analysis. We know that's like the Bloods and Crips got the streets on smash all over the country now, especially with young people. For us, we was 5%ers and Muslims, and we didn't practice the way we didn't get down like that in terms of harming each other. I mean, you still had crime and shit, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But for example, the school system, there was just some type of situation where the Spanish kids, quote unquote, gangs, street organizations was fighting the black kids, quote unquote, gang street organizations. And they made a big deal out of it up there. It's like to the point where they all being monitored everywhere they go now, and everyone's anticipating the violence from these two sides. And it's like as if Marshtown in general, the town of Marshtown in general, is making a big deal out of this, but we don't see that every day. So what's your take on that?
Again, I say, We got to become a community. And I don't mean that in that sense that, you know, the TV community or the community that, you know, I mean a family community again.
Well, talk to me about that too, in terms of, like, well, you did go into it earlier. Why do you think black people and the black community became so individualistic minded to where it's like you said, the love is gone? It's a lot of if it ain't me, I don't care. If it didn't hurt me, I don't care. If it don't bother me, I don't care. This and the third. Like, what can we do to combat that?
I think it's simple to combat it. I think that what we did to get here was a great plan by some people that wanted to end up this way. That, you know, we got into less. It became a money thing, I think, first, where they made you think that if you did the right things in America, you would get to live the American dream. You know, you will have the 2 cars, the house, the 2.5 kids, you know, your dog, all that stuff. Yes, everything to go along with it. But that was transmitted through radio, TV, different things to us more or less, when white America most of the time don't have that. So it became something that where you was fighting so hard to have what most of America didn't have anyway. And then the whole thing was you had to do things where your community wasn't involved. You know, you had to worry about self. You had to get to a higher place. So you had less time to worry about your community. You know, you had less time. You started thinking, you know, I need to be at my job for 20 years. I need to not miss a day. I don't need to take a vacation. It all got to be about me elevating and moving away from where I've been raised.
So you saying the ruling class, the people in power in this country, they socially engineered this social system to the point where, in order for you really to achieve the quote-unquote American dream, you had to.
You had to leave behind people.
You got to discard the struggle.
Yeah. It went straight back to, you know, the slave owners mentality. It's like, you want to eat scraps that come from inside the house, or do you want the scraps we go outside the backyard for you to eat? You know, you want to be the house nigga, or you going to be the field nigga? Now, as much as you want to be around your people, you want to make sure your family ate a better class of food. You know, you wanted to make sure this happened. So, in time, some of the slaves even broke off from each other because they thought if they was just a little better than master, or just paid a little more attention, or just did a little bit more of what he said, that they'll be better off. Mm-hmm. And then at the end, that family was better off, but as a community, you was worse off. Mm-hmm. You know, and that in itself becomes a problem. And that, to me, is back to the problem of even with the quote-unquote Bloods and Crips, is that the problem became internal so often that they took it out on each other instead of grouping together and making what could be a vanguard of sorts, mm-hmm. to, you know, terrorizing each other's community. Mm-hmm. I mean, white people have made money off of canned ham, and billionaires off of Q-tips and toothpicks. But for some reason, we don't see ourselves as innovative enough to make those same growths and advancements through those same things. We feel as though at times the only way for us to make it is destroying other families within our circle, which, if it means drugs or violence or ignorance alone, will do it to be separate at times. That's what we call ourselves being. We're going to be against the social movement, and we're going to be, you know, self-sufficient, but let's be self-sufficient in an efficient way.
So around here, where we grew up at, would you say that black people gave up in terms of the attempt to empower ourselves or continue?
See, and that's what makes me so upset about, I think, Essex County. Because to me, and a lot of Essex County, if any people from more urban areas are watching, might not like what I'm saying, is that to me their growth should have been a lot quicker and bigger than the growth of a place like a Morristown, because you're surrounded by white people that are not trying to let the small group even rise, where there's more racism here because you're surrounded by faces that's not your own, where Essex County and other black urban areas, Patterson and things of that nature, you deal with somebody that looks just like you. So there should be no reason for you to have a reserve, like you don't want to ask this person or get help or anything, because for us, it's always going to be that problem that when I go ask for help, I'm going to be asking for help from somebody who looks nothing like me, that don't understand any of my problems. But I got to go in here and somehow drop everything in my pride to get to them and say, you know, can you help me? Can you teach me how to do this? Or can you say, it's a big difference to me. And I would love to be that kid that had the opportunity to go ask a black person for help, you know, rather than always happening. Because it stopped me sometimes. It didn't let me go to some people and ask, because I already felt like the answer wasn't going to be the answer that was beneficial for me. You know, I had a black guidance counselor in town. We all didn't have those. Our black guidance counselor wasn't the smartest black guidance counselor, but he was easy for me to talk to. You know, it was easy for me to go in there and ask him a question, or just, you know, anything. But when it came to other parts of my life, starting my business and everything that I did was with a little intrepidation, because I wasn't going to speak to someone that looked like me. So my problem with a town like Morristown is, I don't think the people have given up in Morristown, but I don't think they know what to still fight for, because everybody in a Morristown that makes it, or any other town like a Morristown that is most predominantly white, you're never going to see yourself at the forefront. And when you do, it's usually a slight at it. Like, you know, we know people who got positions, and the only time we really interact with those people with these positions is when there's a election time, or when they need money for something. It's like they don't come around until there's a need for them, you know, because when there's a need for you, you see them later on. You see them when we mention why they ain't around.
Are you speaking of our local elected officials?
Definitely, our local elected officials, you know. And for me, they're not locally elected, because most of the people that's electing them don't know them. You know, so locally for me is your people, the people that grew up with you, the people that really know you and know the job you're going to do. And then you do a job for those local people also. Yeah. These officials that I know, I don't believe in. And I don't think any other people that share my melon believe in them either. You know, but I would love to see them replaced.
So what was the idea when you and some other brothers got together and founded WUC? What was the idea about that?
Change. Everything we've been talking about, community, togetherness, learning each other, a total role reversal of what has been is the only ideal.
So what's the stereotype? Why do you think you would think that the people that know the brothers in WUC wouldn't be stereotyped and marginalized the way they are by influential black people.
It's the growth. They don't think that we have it. And for some reason, they was the only people blessed with growth. Like, I'm not the same person I was last week. So you can't think that I'm the same person I was 10 years ago or 20 years ago. All my indiscretions are my indiscretions. But what I have and what I want to do for my people, and not just my people, because we're not a group, or the group that we have founded isn't a racial group, or not even racially motivated. It is a group that is, let's say, motivated by its community. The community we grew up in. If we grew up in a community that was predominantly white, then that would be probably where we'd be fighting for. But we didn't. So we fighting for the community that we know. We don't want nobody to take it as it was built on a color scheme, because it's not.
So you're saying it's really based on class warfare, class struggle.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, you got the elite ruling class, you got the petty bourgeoisie middle class, and you got the grassroots class, which is basically the masses of the people.
Mm-hmm. We definitely are masses of the people. Definitely a masses of the people. Definitely open to all people. Mm-hmm. But, and there is a but, that we are about people of melon at this point. Until they are risen to a class that is equal to all classes, then that is to be my main objective, is to get those people to that. And I mean, even if, let's say, all the people were grassroots, then at least let us all be grassroots and take care of ourselves self-sufficiently. And then until that happens, we should have a problem with taking care of anybody else.
Mm-hmm. But there are white supporters of Uyushi. A lot of people don't know that.
I believe that.
You know what I mean?
I mean, there's always going to be. I am a product of brothers and sisters that are half white. Mm-hmm. You know, I have a few that in Michigan that, you know, I love to death, and they support everything that I do. So there alone will always be supporters of that, and I support them fully. Mm-hmm. Like I said, I am not to see the injustice of the white man. I'm not Islamic radicalist that is here to say that I don't want to see no more white people. That's not what I'm saying at all. All I'm saying is that we get our people to a place where there's not a worry about socially. We don't have to worry about that part. You know, that we can take care of ourselves and be, every one of us have a place in this society.
Well, do you think that young people will begin to realize their role in today's society and start organizing around the conditions that keep us powerless and stagnant and things like that? Like, do you think young people will pick up on the message that we usually trying to give?
I believe some will. I believe until we get the adults, you know, the other leaders, the so-called leaders. We usually is a group of leaders.
Right. And I'm talking about that too, because in Uyushi you got a couple Nuwapians, a couple 5%ers, got a couple Muslims, you got a couple Christians, got an atheist or two. And for all of them to come from different schools of thought in terms of religion or spirituality, how does Uyushi function to the point they can work together? Because, you know, most of these religious institutions will not, they got a problem. One believes in Allah, one believes in Jesus, one believes in Yahweh, whatever. But when you have all those different schools of thought in one group that works together, what is the how is that happening? What makes that work? Because the larger community can't seem to get together and do that. You know what I mean? But you got different belief systems that's all on me. You see all working together. Like, how is that working like that?
It's a family. You know, you believe that just like that. The community should be a family first. You're gonna have, it works just like your household works. There's argument, you know, about things that you don't like. There's love. There's all of that makes that whole family unit work.
Right.
Now there's definitely disagreement. There's definitely a fighting going on. But at what time do you not see a family do that? And that's the point of it, is that all those different thoughts come together and still function as one, because you sit down and you listen, or because you take the time out and you say, I don't agree with that, or I don't, you know, I'm upset that you said that to me. And once you listen to that and you hear that you know, that's what your brothers and your sisters are supposed to do. You give real accounts of what's going on to each other, so that you don't take their feelings lightly, or that you don't just, you know, do as you're gonna do. We all come together, and right or wrong, we figure it out. And after it's done, we like the result. And that's all we're saying, is that you get together as a community. You're not gonna agree. You know, we're gonna fight. But when you're done, you'll sit back and you'll look at the result, and y'all are all like what you'll see, because you talked about it. And nothing gets done without everybody having something to say or talk about it. Once it's all done, you'll say, damn, I had something to do with that. You know, I was part of that coming together.
Right, no doubt.
You know, and that'll start making you feel better as a community. And you'll start getting together. You'll start doing more things. To the point where you might even want to eat dinner with each other once in a while. You know, that's the whole goal of it, is becoming a whole family again.
Okay. Well, let me move on to the homie Z Boogie Zori. I've been trying to catch you for a minute. I got y'all together. The last conversation we had, I know you some things you wanted to address. We were talking about, it was actually in here one day, and me and you wanted to watch something conscious. It was about, of course, the struggle. It was about the movement and what we should be doing as black men. But he was like, Reed, they don't want to hear that, man, because they ain't in the day. They want to listen, watch nonsense, not all the time. So, how does that make you want to just quit?
No.
Zoe, or does it even? Do you stay inspired? Like, how do you deal with the rest of the cats that we trying to get to come and help us do this stuff?
I mean, it's hard, you know. It's hard to do, but you gotta keep on going, because you gotta know where you come from. You gotta know, because it reflects you. It doesn't, I mean, it reflects where you come from. And it doesn't, I mean, we were born here, but we're still Africans.
Right.
Period. I mean, it's just that, you know, we don't wanna know nothing about ourselves. We wanna know about your eccentric, you know, bullshit.
Oh, well, speak on that for a minute in terms of let me ask you what I asked Nate earlier, in a way. You said, you know, us growing up here, well, we basically going through a culture shock, because there's not nothing around here now that represents our culture. Like you said, doesn't reflect us anymore, and we're fighting to gain ground with that. You know what I mean? Establish some liberated zones, so to speak.
When you go everywhere, like Patterson, Newark, New York, you go all over. You see all types of cultures there. You know, Muslim, you know, Africanism, and all that stuff. You see Malcolm X all painted up. You see Elijah Muhammad. You see that, and like a lot of these kids don't see that. I was like, when I was growing up, I didn't get the chance to see all that when I was growing up. I had no. You know,
we had to have an Abdul around, you know, to show us that.
Yeah, or like my cousin Salah. Oh, he was the one that he introduced me to the stuff, saying all those things, and it was like, what are you talking about? Yeah. And then I eventually went out and learned about, you know, how other people are. And I was like, damn, this is how they really are. Yeah. Oh man.
So what would you say right now, what's the biggest obstacle? Well, we got several of them, but what obstacle would you say is most effective in keeping us from progressing to empowering our community? What's the main thing that we're dealing with in our community that keeps
jealousy?
Okay.
Jealousy and envy. Everybody mad at this person for this. Everybody mad at this. And then you got certain people that got stuff, you know, don't want you to have nothing. You know, it's just ridiculous.
Definitely came down there. I told you that this socialism, the oneness, you know, not the sense of community. Until we are nothing without that.
Okay, talk to me about housing. Because everybody get on me and be like, Breeze, why you steady fighting for housing, fighting for housing? Because basically, just because we no longer live in public housing, we got young people with children that's raising families, they need somewhere to start, just like anybody else did. So it's not that we're fighting just to live in housing.
No.
We're pressuring the local Marshtown Housing Authority to be fair with housing.
Definitely. I believe that's a great thing. I mean, the worries that you got to get rid of is the financial worries. Mm-hmm. And then we can get back to knowing each other. Because you'll never be able to become a community again if you're trying to pay your rent and trying to put food on the table. That's the whole thing.
You trying to survive. You ain't got time to do nothing else but survive.
You got no time. No time. And then when you do get that time, the last person you want to see is somebody in your face. You know, and last thing you want to do is do something with the community after you done worked all night and spent your last dime to not do something for you or your family, but to pay a bill.
So what about black people from our community that had these positions over the years to help us get along there, but wouldn't do? I mean, they literally worked against our people to, like, you know they're trying to push us out of Marshtown. They've been trying to push us out of Marshtown the last 20, 30 years. And you got black folk that went along with it. Like, what do y'all say to that?
Back to those black officials that we get in this town. I mean, we do know of some people that have used their position to make themselves more wealthy. How to buy houses, one thing. And that's not a problem with me. I'm glad for them. But my problem comes in that once you start to do something for yourself, why not do it for your brother or sister? Why not help somebody else learn how to buy a house? Because instead of me having 4 or 5 houses, why can't I have one house, but get 4 or 5 people into houses too? Because now I done changed my community by doing that.
Right, you know, there you go.
And not only am I not losing anything, I'm gaining something in that community. Forget the money that I'm not getting from that, because with that house that I bought, I'm okay. But now I done gained a community that I feel safe to live in. Right. You know, I done assured myself that these people I grew up with will continue to be the people I get to live with as I get older. Right. Instead of worrying about who's the person that just moved next door to me, or who am I going to rent to, because my rent is going to be too high to rent to the people that I knew all my life. Right. You know, so it's one of those things that you ask yourself, what have we come to?
So you basically talking about cooperative economics, where we pull our resources together and use it to benefit all of them.
Right, exactly.
Because we know that Caldwell Playground is the only playground that even have a program anymore.
Yep.
From what I understand. And we know that
biggest and that lies to show you where the biggest amount of blacks and Latinos lie. That there happens to be somewhere where nothing goes on for the summer programs for them.
Right. Would you say there's a beef for blacks and Hispanic, Latino community around here?
No, there's a beef with the older, but the younger ones together more than these older ones get to know us. You know, they're together until they get older, and then people convince them. Yeah, because I see the black and Hispanic guys and girls together, and boys and guys together, and all year long.
Right.
You know, and we grew up with Spanish friends that we still have to this day.
Right.
You know that, so we know there's not a real problem with each other.
What's your take on that, Z?
Take on what? Yeah. He said it best, you know, they all together and stuff. I come in with Puerto Ricans and stuff like that.
Right.
And, you know, I think it's like the older people convincing them to do all that stuff, to be, like, against us all the time. It's like, it ain't the problem.
Right. Now, I want to end with this. I got about 10 minutes left. The neighborhood house. Z, you start the neighborhood house, and then I go to Junaid quick. The neighborhood house, give me your thoughts. I ain't even gonna get specific. Just give me your thoughts.
My thoughts is it's a bunch of BS because, you know, this is our neighborhood. I mean, you got outside people coming in here and that live in big houses and be using the place. I'm like, can't you get your own? I mean, it's supposed to be for our kids and stuff like that, and then, you know, and then it's like it's supposed to be for us, and then we can't even go up in there.
It stopped being a neighborhood house 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 40 years ago. I mean, no, I'll take that back. But definitely 25 years ago, it stopped being a neighborhood house. You know, we seen it coming. We watched them take out people that were about the neighborhood and that cared for everybody, and slowly but surely make it into a corporate business. You know, it's about the whole key for them is we gonna keep some black and Hispanic kids here because we need this for nonprofit. But other than that, they're a corporate entity bigger than anybody else's. They rent out space. They don't use anything that their resources for the community other than for the daycare. You know, that's their front for nonprofit. Other than that, they are all about money. And what entity isn't, but what entity that calls themselves a neighborhood house and gives nothing back to their neighbors is change your name. I mean, you know, change what you do.
I mean, it's sitting right there in the neighborhood, but the neighborhood youngsters can't go, well, the black ones anyway, can't even go in there.
No, but if you're a neighborhood house, shouldn't you be open to the whole neighborhood?
Right.
I mean, for everything, and from the young kids to the elders, shouldn't they be able to go there to get some type of service? You know, and trust me, they do have certain services that they allow you to go there and take hold of. Like, you know, for instance, I went there and I was trying to get some paperwork done to go to court. And there was a young woman, Spanish woman there that helped me do that and did all the paperwork for a reasonable price. You know, but everything comes with a price. And my ideal would have even been, why not help me or teach me how to do all this paperwork instead of charging me for you to do it. You know, help the community. Don't enable them to not help themselves. I just feel as though, you know, you should give that title to a neighborhood house to a more worthy entity. I mean, let someone start something that becomes the new neighborhood house, because
partly neighborhood house.
Yes. I mean, they need to give up that prime real estate also, you know, for the neighborhood. You know, since it's a nonprofit, and they clearly are no longer part of this neighborhood.
Do you think there was a plan to, at some point, begin to start the process to gentrify this community and get black people out of here?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I mean, they show that in everything they do. For instance, let's put that this continually is the drug epicenter, you know, cocaine and dope in Morris County. You know, they would want you to believe that it's just circumstance that this happens and that the people here bring it upon themselves. But you make this the only affordable community for these people, you know, and then you leave them with no advancement and opportunity and jobs in Morris County. So you add that with the wealthier people in Morris County paying for drugs, and you want the people that decide that this is a way to make an income to somehow feel, I would say, bad about it, or to feel wrong about doing it, where I don't agree with that. That point should be moot when I've come to see that the buyers of these drugs are mostly white. You know, what's the consequence for coming to buy drugs?
But the police ain't coming out here locking them up, though.
No. And I've watched this go on for decades. But you'll still get over a fight. You'll get 18 cops down here and pulling out sticks for 2 kids fighting. Right. You know, we're talking about 13-year-olds and stuff like that.
Right.
You know, but you get 2 grown white people come down here to get dope, and that's okay.
Right.
Because they come and go as they please.
Well, I will, you think we can use African Heritage Day as just one day to talk about this kind of stuff? Do you think the community is ready for that kind of talk now? Do you think it's ready? Do you think they will engage?
I don't know.
That's a hard one. That's a hard one to say. That's a hard.
You're talking about some beat down black folks that don't understand that, you know, still yet standing together can change some things.
Right.
I think they still scared of this conversation.
Right.
I think that this conversation got to be forced on them, because I think that they go through this conversation in their head all the time, but I don't think that they voice this conversation. I think this is going to have to be something that you force into their face, and that as a small group, you show them that it can be done, and that by them not having these conversations and engaging themselves and stuff like this, that they're only hurting themselves and their children. You know, it has to be a turnaround.
Yeah, we got too many negative people in there trying to go against Mugabe and trying to like bring it down, trying to just credit on Mugabe.
Let's just get back to, you know, support each other. It's right or wrong that, you know, you should support your neighbor. You know, if you know that they're doing something that is going to be detrimental to your neighborhood or to themselves, then help them with correcting what they're doing detrimental. Don't have a judgment, because at that point, that's what they know how to do to correct their problem. They're doing what they know. So if there's something you know that can help them, then do that.
Okay, well, I'm gonna, that was about almost an hour, so I'm gonna end it for now, but I will keep getting back to these brothers in another interview. Comrade Junaid, Comrade Zori, appreciate y'all time. I finally tracked Junaid down. He too busy for me all the time and shit, you know what I mean? But I tracked y'all down.
Y'all won't hear nothing I got to say. I just want to say,
well, this will be up probably tonight or tomorrow morning. But all right, everybody, we'll holler at y'all later. Peace. And
you